How's it going, guys? I'm Vivi and welcome back to the channel. Now, some of you on the channel have probably seen all of my Skylar and Plux analysis videos and have probably wondered, where is this dude's review? Well, let's just say I had to postpone it, so yeah, here it is, finally. So, founded in 2015, Right Nice Games, a small team composed of around 5 people, they bring us Skylar and Plux Adventure on Clover Island. Winner of the Swedish Game Awards 2015, the team decided to bring us a very nice and simplistic in nature platformer. This game gives us a taste of what it felt like to play games such as Jak Daxter back in the day. And if you play the game, you will clearly realize that the team had a lot of inspiration. For one, we have a classic Jak Daxter animation reference, which is very obvious, and I was not expecting that at all. So now about the story. It involves 2 characters, Skylar Lynx and Plux Owsley. Skylar was planned to be turned into a weapon by the evil CRT, whose plan was also to take over Clover Island. Skylar was able to escape, and what happened next is she crash lands on Clover Island. She meets Plux, and that right there is a scenario which sounds very familiar. So they both befriend each other and they meet the Elder, who tells them to find the fuses to the siphon, which is something CRT wanted power from. And about the siphon, it's this ancient artifact which surfaced and belonged to an ancient civilization known as the Progenitors. Next, the game has our duo visit 3 vast, beautiful worlds: Clover Mountain, Forlorn Desert, and CRT's Citadel. Of course, we had an introduction level before that, which also looks very nice. Right Nice Games has done an absolute fantastic job with the visuals. I was very impressed. And talking about absolutely fantastic things, I loved the soundtrack. I loved how it changed style when approaching different worlds. The music, it blended with the environment. That's what I liked about it. And about the cutscenes, they're not necessarily animated, we're talking about static images. And the drawing, the style, very nice. And you know what I really found great about this game? The controls. They are very smooth and nothing too complicated. We have 3 gadgets: the jetpack, the time orb, which pretty much restores an area into what it used to be a long time ago. And when that happens, we can move around, jump across the next area. And then we have the magnetic glove, which not only serves as holding a ball and using it as a key, but we can also lift enemies and use them as weapons. So now, what is the main objective in the game? When we meet the Elder, she tells us that the life force is being sucked out of Clover Mountain, and we need to fix the siphon in order to restore it. And to restore it, we need to find 3 fuses which got scattered around in each world. Now, while exploring these 3 worlds, we find and rescue the Loas, which were put into cages by CRT, because apparently they failed to cooperate. Also, we have gems scattered around. They pretty much lead us, they show us where to go. The game has, of course, checkpoints. If you die, you lose all of the gems that you have collected after reaching the checkpoint. The ones you collected before, they remain saved. There's only one boss battle in this game, CRT himself. And about the enemies in this game, they're pretty smart. They actually attack you. You really have to time your punching rate. That's one thing I realized. Also, about the health, you can upgrade it by saving a certain number of Loas. There's also a few tiny puzzles in the second world, Forlorn Desert, and the last one actually took me a while. And these puzzles, they require you to move these time artifacts in the proper places. There is one section I really liked. It's in the third world. There's this rising lava, which could actually be a challenge if you're too slow, obviously. Like I said in the beginning, what I liked about this game is its simplistic nature. Not too many controls that confuse the player. We press square to punch. I'm talking about the PS4 version here. You press circle to spin around, attack the enemies, very basic. You jump, basic platforming, jetpack, slingshot, very basic. We're not talking about, oh, press R1 and square to activate this, press L2 and R1 to activate that. There's nothing like that at all. Very simple. And talking about simple, we press L1 and we switch between 3 gadgets. We jump on platforms, we collect gems, and we transport from one area to another using the checkpoint system, which is something I actually liked. I like the whole map system, and reminds me of something. Now, I did enjoy the game, but there are some cons. So here we go. Right in the beginning, how the characters were introduced, how Skylar met Plux, it was way too rushed in my honest opinion. They could have added a few more cutscenes. Like, Plux meets this unknown character and then they suddenly become friends. cutscenes, just like that. I think the game needed more cutscenes. For example, while you're playing a game, we come to a certain pause, we get a new cutscene. Plux questioning Skylar, who are you? Where did you come from? The game, it needed that, in my opinion. Now, this one is a pretty big issue. I've seen this in a bunch of reviews. Audio problems. Sometimes it was very hard to hear the player talk. The music was too loud, sometimes the characters' voices were too low. The music in certain parts of the world sometimes got muted. And in the beginning, Plux's voice was sped up. At first I thought it was intentional, yeah, this probably sounds funny, but then when I played the game again, Plux was talking fast again. And just to make sure, I watched some cutscenes and no, it's actually an issue. I don't know why his voice got sped up like that. I don't know if it has anything to do with the PS4 version. I'm no expert in this, but it was weird. Oh, and by the way, I had no choice but to restart a new game. Why? Because unfortunately, I'm one of the few who got the following bug. The laser is supposed to point upwards. Mine was pointing on the right, diagonally. That was not supposed to happen. That was so weird as well. I had no choice but to restart the game. I couldn't progress, which was very sad. I know they said the game was around 3 to 7 hours, something like that, but it felt way too short. My second playthrough took me 1 hour and 50 minutes, and that includes me still trying to find the Loas. And to be honest, my first playthrough I was simply taking my time, so it took me 3 hours, but I couldn't finish that file. It probably took me more than an hour trying to figure out the whole laser situation. About the frame drops, I thought, hey, no problem at the beginning, but once I reached the factory, the 3rd level, the frame drops, oh boy, it is terrible. Especially when there's a bunch of enemies on screen. I thought the game was gonna freeze. Some areas as well. I felt like the game was gonna freeze on me. Other than that, like I said before, the game needed more cutscenes, a bit more background info on our characters. And about Plux, I knew he wasn't going to be playable. I analyzed the game probably 50 times, but it's not like the worlds are difficult to explore where you need Plux to guide you. It wasn't like that. Nothing like that at all. It just felt like you had Plux flying next to you. He just felt useless. Okay, if he's guiding the character, at least make the worlds a bit more difficult, which would require Plux's guidance, but we didn't have that. Not to sound harsh, but it just felt like they're friends and Plux was just there following you, doing nothing. And about the jokes, they felt forced. I feel like they were trying to make it funny, but it just didn't work out. And the jokes pretty much tell us that the game is aimed towards kids mainly. The boss battle was easy. They could have made him harder. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna spoil anything. Rescuing the Loas was also easy. Collecting the gems was no hassle at all. There's a bunch of crates around. If you go back to the hub world, you can just recollect the gems. And after you finish the game, all that's left is to collect the remaining Loas, and the game doesn't have a platinum. So yeah, looking back at my old analysis videos, the game was supposed to have collectibles. I think they switched them for the Loas. The game could have used a bit more content. More collectibles is one big example. That right there adds a lot more exploration. One layer of challenge they could have added is how the worlds get unlocked. You find the first fuse and then the next world gets unlocked. Sure, if we look at Ratchet Clank, we move from planet to planet, but this game is not Ratchet Clank. They could have, I don't know, added a certain collectible, collect the next amount before entering the world. If they didn't have enough, they would have to backtrack, which in the end would add a lot more gameplay. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is the game could have used a bit more content, that's all. Anyways, final verdict. Very nice visuals, beautiful looking worlds, fantastic soundtrack, nice job, Right Nice Games and everyone. I really enjoyed the simplistic controls. The game is pretty much all about exploring and basic platforming, which I really enjoyed. Looking at Skylar and Plux, it has a lot of potential. The developer has a lot of potential. As for the cons, bad frame drops, lack of cutscenes, some audio problems, and the game felt way too short. So with that being said, I give this game a 7 on 10. All I want to say is, thank you so much Right Nice Games for giving us Skylar and Plux adventure on Clover Island. I enjoyed the game, despite a few flaws, but you guys really do have potential. Thank you so much. And I cannot wait to see what you have in store for us in the future. And for anyone watching this video right now, I recommend picking up Skylar and Plux Adventure on Clover Island. It's very affordable, it's available available on Xbox, PS4, and Steam, so I do recommend playing this game. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. If you did play this game, leave your own thoughts in the comments section below. And other than that, I've been VV, and thank you for watching.